Hello, welcome to December, what is it? December 4th? Yeah, sometimes I forget what day it is. Welcome to December 4th, December Dash. Today's our fourth day out of 31. That's right, we're going live every day, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, to make sure that you get the help that you need for building your agency. A couple things that we're going to talk about today. And by the way, I'm not clicking on stuff being distracted. I'm actually just setting up the Zoom room here to make sure that we have that available. Anyway, a couple things we're going to talk about today that I think need some clarity, right? As you pile in, of course, tell me where you're tuning in from. I always like to hear that and know who we have with us and obviously where you're tuning in from. So that said, there's there's something to be said about mindset that I think a lot of people are underestimating or undervaluing. And sorry, I had to turn that off. And the thing is like when I say undervaluing, I mean I'm talking way undervaluing, like to the point of when you undervalue something, usually that means uh, it's in a scenario where it's going to cost you something. And the last thing I want to see happen uh, is where you undervalue what your actual worth is to your own business because of a mindset that you're not able to or unable to or unwilling to, more importantly, um, not change, mind you. Yeah, change over time, sure, but improve, right? I always look at it as improvement. We do the best that we can with what we got. We uh, improve, or at least be willing to improve. And um, it suddenly dawned on me yesterday. You know, and when I have conversations with people on a private level, even public, private doesn't matter. I'm the same guy. There's no difference. And anybody that's ever spoken to me privately will pretty much tell you that. Um, I handle things the same way I would in front of 1,000 people watching me as I would um, nobody watching me. And if you're not, to me, that's a business owner mindset in of itself. If you're not operating in that fashion, um, as if everybody were watching you anyway, or um, when no one's looking, that's when you still do what you do, right? It doesn't matter if nobody's looking or not, and consider the fact that someone's always watching, at least in my mind. And I don't use that as pressure or as a use it as a way to act a certain as a an excuse to act a certain way or anything like that. I just be myself and just understand and accept that there are going to be people that you clash with, good and bad, uh, over different um, different values, all kinds of different things, right? Just based on usually what the other person brings to the table. Because I'm pretty, I'd say this, I'm pretty open and pretty flexible to work with you, no matter where you come from, what your background is, where you're at mentally with things. You could be. I've had people way down in the hole that I've worked with that probably should not have worked with, but chose to because not because it was the right thing to do. Yeah, I'd say it was the right thing to do, but also because I saw value and opportunity for everybody at the table. And a lot of times people don't, the other person or the other party doesn't see that initially, at least. And that's a shame, but also my ability to be able to show somebody that is pretty cool over time. So, anyway, learned a lot about that. We're going to spend some time talking about um, the sales conversations you're going to have or have been having. Um, We're going to go to questions, and we're also going to clarify a couple things about the December Dash Show Up, Grow Up Award. A lot of focus has been put on that lately. People are asking questions about it. Totally okay with that. Um, Actually, let's start with that. I think that'd be easiest, and then we'll just kind of move into everything else, and then we'll open it up to a Zoom. I'll see if we can get I'll see if we can get the Zoom opened up a little bit faster today, and uh, have you folks come on, right? Because I'm trying to make sure that you get the help you need. You know what I'm saying? Not that what I have to say is unimportant by any means. I'm not trying to undercut myself there, but I do need to get some feedback from you on what the challenges are that you're currently dealing with, so I can continue helping you push forward, right? So that part of the call is just as important in my mind. Um, oh, December Dash contest. So the Show Up Grow Up, excuse me, the Show Up Grow Up Award on the first day, and you can go back and check me on this. I'm totally okay with it. On the first day, I said, "Speak now, forever hold your peace." If you don't hear your name, if you did not hear your name called, um, I had nobody contest that on the day. So the list that we have, which I'm not going to show that right now, um, but the list that we have are that's what we're rolling with, because the Show Up Grow Up Award is for the people who attend all sessions throughout the entire month. So if you didn't get on that thing day one because you didn't speak up when I asked you to, um, I'm not gonna just free float everybody in there. That's not how this shit works, right? It's a contest for a reason. Can't do it. Sorry, right? Sorry, um, but not sorry, because that's the rules of the contest, right? I said you're gonna have to do things, little tasks, in order to verify your attendance, and I also said some days I'll give you a free pass and others I won't, right? So those that are on the list, which, I mean, if you'd like to know who's still on the list, I can read that off real quick. I'll do that. Scott Moody, Jeff Brewer, excuse me, Bob Lee, Steve Taylor, Tim Blank, Christina Pucci, John Hackwood, Ken Wilson, Julian Alexander, John Smith, Mohammed Zakir Hussein, Art Tatman, Adrian Bryan, Jerry Clark, Garrett Amon, and Robert Kornick. That's it. There were a few of you that um, I didn't hear from, right? A few of you I didn't hear from yesterday. And I don't know what to tell you other than to tell you I looked at the comments, I don't know how many times, as recently as um, 5, 6 minutes, no, excuse me, 9, 10 minutes ago, right before this call, and on day one, and didn't see um, some of the names of the people who are saying that they were there. And it's not that I don't believe you, but I don't have the necessary proof for the contest. Okay, that's what I'm saying. It's not that I don't believe you. It's just that your comment was not posted, so I didn't see it. So that's the list that we have. That's what we're operating off of now. I'm using this as a very simple based contest. If somebody misses, they're going to get a red line, and they're basically their attendance tracking stops. Right? I'm no longer going to take roll call on somebody who's missed a day, because if they've missed one day, they are no longer eligible for the Show Up Grow Up Award. Right? Makes sense. It's pretty logical. Keeps my tracking down to a minimum, and if and as people start to not show up on a couple sessions or one session here and there, I don't want to keep taking roll call on what, right, for the contest, because they no longer qualify. So that's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to do it. Like it, love it, don't give a shit. Show up anyway. Be here. Um, those are the rules. Dim's the rules. That's how we're doing it. Um, it is what it is, right? Actually, you know this.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
All right. You heard it there. Um, so, questions in the comments, of course. I see a bunch of you saying hello. I apologize. I missed that. I'm looking at it right now. So, Christina's on. Hey, Christina. Haven't heard from you in a while. Been kind of quiet. Hopefully, you've been quietly busy as hell, working back in the background there. If you have questions or anything, obviously, uh, come on live, or you can, well, I haven't given you the link yet, but prepare to come on live today or ask in the comments, and I'll do my best to help you out, okay? But good to see that you're tuning in. Um, Saudi Arabia, that's got to be, wasn't that Mohammed? I believe that was Mohammed that was over there. I could be wrong. London, England. Cool. Art, hey, just got off the phone, landed client number four. Cool. Send in the deets, man. You know what I'm saying? Send in the details. If you haven't done it already, I see some notifications here. No, you haven't done it yet. Not that I can see. So send in your, do your process, do your thing, right? And we'll put number four up on the board for you. We'll make it official. In the meantime, South Wales, Maidstone. Maidstone, that's Andy. Andy's on. Good to see you, Andy. Um, Hi, Adrian from Jamaica. Yep, Adrian Bryan, cool. I hope everyone is having a fun-filled client gathering Friday. Well, I'd like to see client filled, right? Clients, if that's where you got to start, no problem. But clients is where it's at, right? Um, and it's always good to have you, Adrian. Always. Oh, he said, pardon me, I meant client. I was trying to rhyme there. Cool. You know what's funny is maybe it was just a Freudian slip because fliant is one of the things that I teach and, kind of coin that term, a fake client, because who the hell says fake client? That doesn't kind of make sense. But in our business, it does in terms of how we use that strategy. But maybe maybe just slipped out, but that's cool. Here again today, Beirut, Lebanon. There's John. Gotcha, John. We'll take attendance a little bit later, right? Good morning, Bishop, California. So Steve's with us. Oh man, congratulations, Art, on landing your fourth client. I agree. Congrats, sir. Uh, couldn't make it yesterday, but here now, John in Gloucester, UK. Very good to have you. Green Bay, Wisconsin. Not sure who that was in Wisconsin yesterday. Green Bay. Anyway, uh, I'm being quiet and taking it easy as I haven't been in the right place mentally. It's Christina. Okay. If you'd like to jump on and talk about that, or get some guidance, rather, um, that's what I'm here for. I'm just saying. Um, I can't read minds. I'm pretty good about knowing where you're at in the business and knowing what comes next and how to help you, more than help you in those ways. Uh, but as you notice and have noticed probably when the rubber meets where the rubber meets the road, which happens a lot in the December Dash kind of a contest environment, um, you'll see that people react differently to pressure. All different kinds of people react all kinds of different ways, and I've seen and dealt with most, if not, well, I can't say all because there's almost 8 billion people on the planet, so I can't really say all, but I've seen and dealt with most over the years, in my time, and that doesn't mean that I'm going to know how to help you always, but I will say this in your case specifically, Christina, uh, what typically what you're feeling, what you're dealing with on a mental level is something that I'm actually intimately familiar with, without ever really knowing you very well. And we've had that whole conversation before as to why that is. We have a lot in common in that way. And whatever it is you need, right? If you're just struggling with whether you can do this or not, if you're, um, I don't know. Again, not a mind reader. I can take a stab in the dark in a couple places that make sense, based on progress so far and where you're at, but without any clarification, I'm not going to be able to really help you. So hopefully you're um, willing to work with me on that. Okay, I'm not a miracle worker, guys, but I am good at what I do. Very good at what I do. So you give me what I need, what I ask for, and I'm going to be able to make things happen for you, no doubt. That's why people look at me like a rain man, um, just because I know the business. I know the business. I know how it affects us. I know how we work with it, how we adjust based on how the business affects us, all that kind of stuff, right? So, anyway, sales conversations. Let's talk about that. So, market research as well, but mostly sales conversations is what I'm going to focus on today. I'm telling you right now, there has been, I can count on one hand over, I don't even know how many years that I've been teaching the same sales script uh, that I've had people come back to me and tell me that time and time and time again that the sales script doesn't work, or that I'm not able to close and I don't know what I'm doing wrong, or something along those lines, right? But a lot of times it's always finger pointing. Your sales script doesn't work. This doesn't work. It's not working, right? As opposed to taking a breath, getting your head in the right place, and understanding that when I say follow the script, that is exactly what I mean. I mean it in the most literal sense possible. Think Mickey Mouse Club and the fucking bouncing dot. Bup, 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 bup. You don't need you don't need anything else. All right. Can you add other things and personality into it? Yes. That's why I encourage you to read through it over and over and over and over again, because you can say the Pledge of Allegiance like we were taught as children in school in the U.S. Um, because we've said it over and over and over again, day after day after day after day. But you know it so well as an adult, you should still remember it. And not only should you still remember it, you could say the exact same words in as many different tonal patterns as you want, right? You could say it with a smile, you can say it with a frown, you can say it like you're bleeding out from your neck urgently, right? You can add all these things to it because you know it so well. Now, the script is a bit longer than just a few lines like a Pledge of Allegiance, right? However, uh, still very, very easy because most people are able to remember entire plays, right? And lines and lines and lines from a play. Um, and it may take them a month to get that, but they're able to do that. And this is not a play, but it very much is a scripted call, right? It doesn't have to sound like a telemarketer. It shouldn't sound like a telemarketer, but you need to get good with the words and have them always in front of you on a printed out set of pages, um, and work with what you've got in front of you, but also add things in your tonal patterns such as urgency. So the two biggest things, and again, I can count them on one hand how many times that somebody was following the script and was not producing the results, and usually that issue was tonal patterns, urgency, not asking for the money enough, right? But most of the problems come from people deviating from the script, and I mean hard fucking left deviation. Not, we went off the script a little bit. That's fine. You can weave in and out of it, right? As long as it's very clear that you're following the objectives. Okay, you ask them if they need more business right now. You answer the phone properly first. You ask them if they need more business right now. They say yes. You move right into the qualifying questions. That's where it can kind of weave in and out because the conversation opens up more, but you always bring them back to the next question nicely, politely, and then make your decision qualifying them on whether or not they're going to be a good fit. If they are a good fit, of course, you say the pitch. You got to say the pitch next, right? You got to ask for the money so that they can automatically knee jerk tell you no. They're going to tell you no, period. I mean, maybe 1 out of 100 won't. So we're talking about everybody else. They're all going to say no up front, period. So once that no is out of the way, that's when the work begins. Because you found somebody. Think about it. You've put in everything I just described in that entire sales process takes, uh, as you go through it, should take no longer than 10 minutes. So you're 10 minutes in on a conversation with somebody who is a fit, and you know you can drive phone calls to, and they just said no. Now, welcome to the beginning of the conversation, the sales conversation, rather. That's the beginning of the sales conversation. Not when you say hello. That shit should be back of your hand. You should know that like the back of your hand, folks. Up to that point, easily. Then it comes down to handling the objections, asking for the money, and not just once, not just twice, not just 3 times, not just 4 times. On average, yes, 3 to 4. But I want you to get used to the concept of if it's a good fit, what do I got to do to earn your business then? You maybe don't lead out of the gate with that, but you definitely are asking that if you follow. So there's a lot that comes with that urgency. Like I said, asking for the money, not repeatedly, because that sounds like you're hassling or harassing. You're really not. You're just continuing the conversation. Um, think of it as unlocking the safe, right? You got to turn the dial this way, then you got to turn the dial that way, then you got to turn it back this way, and it's got to be set on the right numbers. Otherwise, when you crank that handle, it ain't opening, right? That's how the safes work, more or less. Um, I'm giving you those dial turns, right? First one is critical. Without it, you're stuck. You're dead in the water anyway. You've got to follow the script, period. Answer the phone the way I taught you to answer the phone. Use the urgency and the tonal patterns I taught you to use. Use the let your guard down, put your guard down uh, way of asking your qualifying questions, right? Your friendly interrogation, if you will. Um, kind of a, you know, it doesn't make sense. I get it, but friendly interrogation, that's what I'll call it. And making the pitch, nailing down your pitch, getting that solid, and then of course knowing your objections. So there's a few things there, yeah, but again, not that difficult. Hindsight, I'm telling you, it's very, very easy for you to master, and will be easy for you to master. You have to spend some time on it though. You can't just not spend time on it. You can't say you did and you didn't. You can't spend a little bit of time on it and then spend 2 weeks not even looking at it again and expect to be following the script. And I'll tell you something right now. If you are prone to making the mistake of not following the script or deviating from the script at any time, and that becomes a sales problem for you. In other words, your close ratio is off because of that reason, and it's either found out by you or through your tracking or from me pointing it out from your tracking. That means that even though you fix it, guess what's going to most likely happen again? Could happen tomorrow, uh, even after you fixed it. Could happen 2 weeks from now. Could happen 3 months from now. Could happen 2 years from now. But guess what? Your natural instinct is going to be. That's correct. It's going to be the same thing. We do the same things. We're creatures of habit. And I don't care if you've been doing sales calls for 2 years, you're going to fall back into that trap and beat your head against the wall because you're not understanding why you're not making sales anymore or closing clients anymore, even though you think you're reading. And that's the thing, we delude ourselves, right? A lot of people do that for some reason. Not judging, just saying it is what it is. I'm not going to play that little meme again, right? But the idea is know that. Build systems and processes and training for your sales staff, because I'll tell you right now, you go and hire and train sales staff and they fall for it. How are you going to help them if you don't have anything in place to combat that, to help them work with that, to acknowledge that themselves? Okay? Because most people, including sales professionals, are going to have that fucking problem, right? For whatever reason, they don't believe me on the literal follow the bouncing dot on the script, and it's going to cost you some money. It's going to cost you some time. May even cost you a few gray hairs. Okay, unless you're hearing me right now and you say, okay, I'm going to commit to doing that. No deviations, right? This is why we have things like the Lego Man Award. It's for shit like this, because now a lot of you are in the sales stage. This is where the rubber meets the road. You got to have that. If you don't have that, it's going to be really, really difficult for you to do well. All right, 11:24. We talked about mindset. We talked a little bit about, I say a little bit, we talked quite a bit about the sales script and how important it is and why we need to um, follow it closely. Not because William says, but because I know it gets results. I've, Folks, I have seen this sales script get results for the most salty and negative person I've ever met. And I wasn't even the one that was making the person use the script. Isn't that crazy? My training, my script, can't be done, I was told. Impossible. Not happening. I can't make it work. I am following the script. Somebody else takes them into a back room who also doesn't know my script, right? Makes that person follow my script, gets a client. Still the most saltiest and negative person on the face of God's green earth, in my opinion. But again, that's an opinion. Notice I said that. Um, but still got a client. Shit works. Shit works, folks. And that was the beginning of the year. Not this year. I'm just saying it was at the beginning of the year when that person did that. That's nothing short of phenomenal, right? In terms of man, this shit really works. I mean, could you imagine if that person had spent more time actually believing not only was it possible but that they could do it, and that maybe they should study the fucking script and listen to the tonal patterns and actually listen to me when I say literally follow the script. You know what I mean? Um, Imagine where that person would be, right? I do all the time. I think about that. I do very much so. Okay, let's grab the Zoom link. I know you folks are probably, some of you are chomping at the bit, and then I'm going to address some questions here in the comments, best of my abilities. Oh shit, where's the gotta find the link. No, not the link. Excuse me, the live stream in the Facebook group here. Hold on. There she is. I don't know why it became a she all of a sudden, but you know, she's been good to me. So, all right. So I just posted the link into the live stream that we have there for the Zoom. If you'd like to come in live, ask your questions. The Zoom room is live, and I'm going to field some comments. Actually, I'm going to grab some water and play my inspirational message for you so that I can drink some water in peace.
Just do it! Make your dreams come true!
Okay, that'll work. Okay. Oh, comments, and then I've got my eye on the Zoom room. Okay, but again, the Zoom room was posted in the Facebook group under the live stream in the comment section. If you're watching from somewhere else, totally okay with that. Just be aware our Facebook group is free to join. Software's free as well, ringads.com, in case I didn't mention that, which I know I didn't. And you'll find the link inside the group underneath the live stream. So again, you're more than welcome to come on. And I see we've got somebody wanting to come in, so I'm going to let them in, and I'm going to answer a couple comments first, and then we'll jump over to the Zoom. Okay, so just hang tight there. I'm going to mute you as well. Please mute your Facebook feed before you come into the Zoom. That way there's no echo and crazy delay. All righty. Denver, Colorado. Somebody's out in Denver. Cool. I was doing a role play mock sales call. The person asked me to see the back end of the RingAds software, and I realized that I did not know how to do that. I made an excuse that I could not do that without revealing all my client accounts. How best could I accommodate a prospective client's request to see the platform from a client's perspective? That is an excellent question, and also brings up the fact that, and that's Julian that's asking that. It's a good question, and here's my answer. Number one, I teach you to set up a test company for this very reason, so that you have a back office login that you can show off as a demo account. Hell, you can even run test calls to it and show them what the dispute process looks like and all that kind of stuff, and start training them up before you even close them as a client. I mean, those are all things that I teach you to do. Highly recommend that you do that, because how are you gonna? I mean, it's like selling a car without knowing its features. Excuse me, its features. Like, it's like the worst salesman in the world. Now, I'm not calling you the worst salesman in the world. I'm just saying that's what the worst salesman in the world would do. So don't be that guy, right? Um, don't be the guy that, you come up to the car lot and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about this model," and you say, "Okay, great. Well, it's got a bunch of cool shit. You want to take it for a ride? Okay." And as you're taking it for the test drive, you don't even know what half the car does. You know what I'm saying? And meanwhile, your prospect is over there just uh, sitting behind the wheel, not knowing shit either, because it's a brand new car. Don't be that guy, right? Be the guy that knows your business in and out, inside and out, right? Back of your hand, that kind of stuff. So do your test company, have a test login so that you can do that, or a demo login, call it that, and work your way around through there, right? Root around through there, dig in there, learn some shit, click on some shit, right? That's the best way to be able to guide your client. Now, how to guide your client on screen sharing? Shit, man, there's a ton of different apps, including things like Zoom, uh, that will help you do those kinds of screen shares. But there's also things like Join Me, where if you're on the phone, you actually don't have to use the audio on Join Me, and it's just a screen share app, right? And it's join.me, and I believe they even have free options. I could be wrong on that, but My point is, there's low cost and no cost options out there, and they're very plentiful. But those are two of the bigger ones that I think of when I think of screen sharing with a client over the phone, assuming that they're not. Assuming that they're not on the road and assuming that they're in the office in front of their computer. If they're out in the field and they just have their smartphone, it's a little bit more challenging, right? Uh, that may be something that has to be done later, but I would never tell a client, no, you can't see the the back office, right? I definitely want them to see that because as soon as they do, they're like, oh shit, this is pretty cool. Not only is it pretty cool, it's like it looks good, solid. Everything he just said and talked about is here, right? Recordings, dispute option, calls are coming in only to me. See what I'm saying? So there's a, and I can see this on my, like this is my log. This would what my login looks like, not his, mine, which means I can log in at any time or have staff log in at any time and manage that. So um, that's how I would go about it. Random thought. I hope the word flyant gets added to the dictionary. William, if you invented the word flyant, you could trademark it. Uh, that's true. I probably could. I don't know if I invented it or not. I don't seem to remember picking it up from anywhere. I just remember saying fake client a lot and having to say fake client because it's what's the word I'm looking for? Because it's a phrase like military intelligence or jumbo shrimp. You know what I'm saying? What's the phrase I'm looking for uh, that describes those phrases? It's my mind defaults to entendre, double entendre, but it's not a double entendre. It's not a double meaning. It's shit. Why is my mind going blank? Hold on. I'll tell you real quick. Oxymoron. God almighty. Makes me a moron for not remembering that. An oxymoron, right? So a fake client, I mean, a client by definition, and I've taught this for many years, a client by definition is someone who has paid you for the privilege of being a client. So a fake client, it's like, you see what I'm saying? It's an oxymoron. It's like military intelligence, jumbo shrimp. Um, yeah, we over here in the States, we park in the driveway and we drive on a parkway, right? Just saying. Things to think about. Things that make you go, hmm. And fake client would be one of those. So I'm sure I could register it if indeed I did coin that, but I'd be hard pressed to know. I'm sure other people have said fake client and maybe somehow somebody else reduced it down before I did. I'm not saying that I didn't think of it first. I don't know. I just know how I came up with it because I was tired of saying two syllable. Well, it's still two syllables, I guess. I don't know. It's just something about fake client that just didn't ring true, right? But when you say it together as a client, it actually kind of makes it part of a process and a strategy that we use. It's much easier to convey that than it is to say fake client over and over. Yeah, oxymoron. That's what I was looking for. Everybody else knows what the fuck I was saying, but I don't. Oh shit! Leave it to me to forget oxymoron, but remember crazy other things. That's what you need me for. Um, do I need to create my? Oh, hold on. Two more questions, and then we'll get to. It looks like David here on Zoom. I'm planning on creating a video where I show the back office and just put it on my website, so I can send clients there and they can watch it wherever they are. That's not a bad idea. You could attach it to the agency template that I train on. Right? You can just add a video for that towards the bottom, call it a back office overview, and make it very short, right? Pleasant and short. Speak with a smile. Yes, it can be heard and over video, even if they don't see your face. And them seeing your face wouldn't be a terrible idea either. At some point, editing that in takes a little bit more effort and work for that. It's not required to do the sales, so I feel like it's a bit above and beyond what's required initially, which is where your focus should most likely be, right? Focus on that down the road is what I would say. Um, Everything else is just kind of a reason why you're not on the phone yet. You follow? Get on the phone, get on the phone, get on the phone. Do I need to create my own client training videos or training docs, or is there a blank one that I can send out to already to onboard new clients? Client training videos are completely up to you. I will have a white label set released um, at some point that will help you on that, but not something for onboarding. Onboarding processes and systems are going to be built based off of what I teach, um, and completely up to you, right? That's one of the most. Here's the deal, folks. I don't own your business. I'm not a partner in your business, and here I am acting as if I'm a majority shareholder in your business, right? Um, I do that because I want you to have everything at your fingertips and at your disposal that I have, right? Every advantage and leverage point used that you can without the expense of that. Okay, and when you when you when you come down to it, I am not the business owner in that case. You are. So the decision ultimately rests with you on what you choose to follow, what you choose not to. I'm not. That's why a lot of people probably misunderstand when I say, "Hey, this is what works. Follow this. Follow this." They say he's telling me what to do. I'm going to go do my own thing. Actually, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what I know to work, right? Because if I was telling you what to do, I'll tell you right now. If I was telling you what to do, and I had that mindset, uh, and we were going that way with this whole thing, within ring ads, I'd have fired almost all of you already by now. Not because I don't like you, just because I have a standard that needs to be met, right? And if we're talking about you as employees, then we're talking a whole different ball game. But if we're talking about you as business owners, which is how I treat you, if you notice, um, and teach you and work with you as if you're a business partner, even though we're not by definition, I I do that so that you can um, not have to pay the price, right? So when I give you stuff to follow, it's not for my good. You probably heard your parents say that all the time. I'm not telling you this or teaching you this for my good. It's for your good. And usually it's only in hindsight that we realize that much later. But for how that relates to training and creating your own training, I'm going to teach you a set amount of training, and there's going to be some templates. Sure, there isn't currently anything available for that, um, because I've never made anything available for that to date. But I will be making templates available as we go. Your goal should be focused on building the business up first, right? You're looking at everything and asking questions about everything else but phone calls and clients, getting clients, client acquisition. That's where your head needs to be right now. All this other shit, while important, comes later anyway. Um, and at that point, you're going to be very well versed on the systems and processes needed to govern the staff that you hire and train. Plus, I'm here to ask specific questions on that so you can make your own decisions on what you include in your client onboarding. But the basics are there. I mean, if you need a checklist to tell you if you need a checklist template from me to teach you how to do onboarding for a client, for example, what I teach, right? And I'll make the template, but it's so simple that you should already have it done because what I teach is to contact a client every week, once a week at least, and have conversations and prepare the conversations, have listened to the data before the conversations, all those kinds of things, right? Um, know what your upsell pitch is going to be. Know when a client is low, right? There's not that many things that should be on that checklist, right? Very straightforward. Um, Whether you decide to do it the way I do it or not, it's totally up to you, right? That's again why I say it's so important to follow what I teach because it makes sense. So someone says taking calls, got to head out. I love it. I love seeing that. All right. Let's David, are you you want to unmute and actually I'll unmute. See, well, nope, you've got to unmute. See if you can.
Hi, William.
Hello. Yes, I'm here. How can I help?
I'm sorry. This may be too elementary a question. I'm just really becoming
That's
familiar
okay.
with you and your work.
That's okay.
Um, I've read through the website. My question is this: obviously there's ad spend that has to generate the calls. Is the client responsible for fronting that, or is the agency fronting that, and then we're charging the client? How do you work that in your system?
Okay, so you have a few different options with ring ads. It's a great question. And listen, man, for the record, for everybody else listening as well, appreciate you coming on. Never be too shy or too afraid to ask a question at any level or at any starting point. Okay, let me start with that. Second, there are three different main ways that you can bill your client. You can bill them in what we call a flat fee. You can bill them in a uh, you can bill them postpaid, or you can bill them prepaid. Okay, I like and recommend and teach building an agency on prepaid. Okay, which means a client is going to pay you a deposit for X amount of calls. So, for example, if it's $30 a call that you decide you're wanting to charge, and you do a block of 10 calls, then you'll collect an initial deposit of $300. $30, 10 calls, 30 times 10, 300. Plain and simple, right? You load those funds into the wallet of the company inside of Ring Ads, and then set it to prepaid because it was prepaid. And at that point, every time a call comes in, it's automatically debited from the account balance that has now been loaded into Ring Ads, right? Again, you can do a flat monthly. You can make it so that they pay after the fact. Hell, you can even, if you wanted to, make it so that you invoice them separately outside of Ring Ads for ad spend. Like if you're trying to sell, I don't recommend any of those, man, because you're leaving a lot of money on the table, and also really downplaying your value. Um, because people that are, and I get a lot of people think that business owners that do ad spend only are savvy, or more savvy to what it is that we do. But in this case, they're actually very much not, right? They understand ads outside of driving phone calls, but ads specifically to drive phone calls is usually, um, in almost every case, brand new territory, something they've never heard of, and really don't care to learn. And I've found that to be true of people that run tons of money through ad platforms. Learning calling ads is not necessarily like discovering fire in front of a bunch of cavemen, but pretty damn close. You know what I'm saying? Um, Very rarely will you have somebody say, "Yeah, I'm running call ads as well for my local business, and we have it dialed in." In those cases, it's like, well, I mean, do you want more, right? That's my default question. I didn't ask if you were if you were running ads or not. By the way, I don't talk to clients about how I drive the phone calls. I talk to them about the quality of the phone calls, because at the end of the day, that's what should be the most important point. When they ask me where I'm getting my calls from, they're actually not concerned with where I get my calls from as much as they are the quality of the phone calls that they're going to get. That's why they're asking me that question. So I answer that question instead, if that makes sense. And it works very well for me, because I do the prepaid, and because I build the relationship out of the gate with what we start small. If you looked at the sales script that I teach, it's very straightforward. This is why we start small. I use that as the reason. Smaller deposits, and then we build trust from there. The wallet funding options in their back office is right there in front of them. You can walk them through making a payment, and then it's completely automated from there. Built-in dispute processing in things that they don't normally have access to with other platforms. And I point all those out. I teach them, right, as I go. So that's, I know that was a bit of a longer answer than you were probably looking for, but I'm trying to give you a scope of the whole picture as to how a client views that, and why they latch onto it more, and how rare it actually is to find someone that's uh, running their own call ads specifically. Um, but yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Does that clear up some things for you?
Yes, that answered my question. Obviously, you probably know where I'm coming from. I'm
Sure.
kind of on a shoestring type budget, so just kind of wondering how that worked out. And again, I'm not familiar with your system. Again, this is more or less day one for me. I came
Okay.
across your site and um, saw you. I think I'm a member of the group already, but you popped up in my feed, so I wanted to take a listen, and I got curious.
Well, that's cool. I'm happy to have you here. Um, yeah, I
And
very much. Go
just so
ahead.
you know, I have a small agency. I have two clients right now, but I've been selling SEO.
All right.
So my biggest client is a roofing contractor out of Florida. I'm in Houston. So I was
Got it.
just wanting to take a look, and SEO can definitely be very difficult at times.
Well, here's a couple things for you. Number one, I could pretty much tell you're an agency because only agency owners ask those kinds of questions about ad spend from the client because that's what they're used to. That's what somebody told you or showed you their results and their client base, and that's what they do, and blah, blah, blah. And it's been done that way for years. And, you know, it, it reminds me of, which is actually one of my favorite shows, Mad Men. Reminds me of Mad Men. It's very much a Madison Avenue kind of thing, right? And as much as I love that show for other reasons, when it comes to running an agency based on spend and a percentage to basically be the creative, you're selling your soul to the devil with that model. I hate saying that, but it's the truth. I really um, I like to be valued. I like for my work to be valued for what it's actually worth. If you look at guys like, do you know who Jay Abraham is?
I'm sorry, I don't.
Okay, it's okay. Don't be sorry about it. Jay Abraham is a well-known. Well, it's funny I say well-known. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Uh, in some circles, he's regarded as probably the biggest joint venture guy in the world, with billions of dollars in deals under his belt. Um, he made his first million on his first joint venture deal with 8 tracks and later cassette tapes um, in the late 70s. So um, that was in $1 million in the late 70s. I don't need to tell you what that was worth in today's dollars. It was pretty good for a younger guy back then. Anyway, my point is, Jay uh, Jay is a good example of gosh, what were we talking about? I totally lost my train of thought. Totally lost my train of
We were
thought.
talking about agencies, ad
Ah,
spend, Mad
yes,
Men.
yes, 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 yes. Thank you for that. So when you look at the old way of doing business, right? He's a great example of old school, what I would call old school. But in a lot of cases, old school is still very true today. Like a joint venture deal is a joint venture deal. Um, the thing is with agencies, what you have to understand is a lot of the media over the years has shifted so rapidly. I'll give you an example. A joint venture deal is done um, typically, keep in mind, typically between a company and another company, and you're the middleman and you source out either good deals and a distribution channel, which obviously the emphasis, as Jay teaches, is all about the distribution channel, not the product. You can find products that are a dime a dozen, brother, and they'll come and go, right? That kind of thing. But building the distribution channel, in our case, that translates to the marketing agency or the pay-per-call agency.
Mhm.
Now, what has changed in that process? Have companies changed? Nope. Companies are still companies, right? How they do business has that really changed over the years? Not anything that we haven't become used to very quickly, such as debit cards and bank transfers and shit like that. Those bank wires have been around forever, though, so not really. Maybe updated security, but that doesn't really count, right? Those aren't massive changes to. But if you look at um, media for advertising agencies, it's not only changed rapidly, it's just changed in complete different directions in a lot of cases where marketing agencies actually struggle to keep up with that. So they make it easier on themselves by hiring in creative and basically displaying it, giving away, pitching their ideas before they've even got the client. Whereas this is a very much think of this as a transactional deal. Um, and I know it flies in the face. It's unconventional. It flies in the face of convention. I get that, but listen to me very carefully. When you go to Walmart and you buy a pack of gum, right? Do they right away? take a percentage off of Orbit or whoever I buy the gum from. No, right? It's very transactional. I give them the money, they give me the gum, I walk out with the gum, right? Very
Right.
transactional. This is the same, it's set, at least the way I teach it, to be the same way. I'm going to give you 10 calls of people that are qualified in HVAC, people looking for an HVAC professional or pest control or whatever the vertical is that I choose. And you're going to get business out of those if you know how to close a barn door, right? Short of that, you're going to get business out of it. And not only business, but good business, better business than they've ever had from any other kinds of phone calls they get because they're usually shared. In other words, not exclusive. They don't have any kind of a dispute process or any kind of a resolution center, if you will. So there's a lot of things that they're not used to already out of the gate that is going to help them make a lot more money with the calls that you drive, right? Versus, hey, let me just run a bunch of ads and let you figure it out in terms of what you made, what you didn't make, and what's profitable, what's not. And here's the thing, and I know you've run into this if you're an agency, and most agency owners have, and this is why I can't stand that model for what we sell. Keep in mind, um, and that is when you have agency owner, or excuse me, a client that uh, doesn't know the true value of the business. And when I say true value of the business, I'm talking not marketing. I'm talking revenue, net profit, and from what channel. And when's the last time you ever met a client or had a client starting out at least that knew their numbers? When I say know their numbers, I mean those numbers. Have you ever, matter of fact, I, I, I would be so bold as to even say you've probably, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, never had a client that has known their numbers out of the gate. Would that be fair?
I can only think of one that actually was really good with his numbers.
One out of how many?
Probably 10 or so that I've had.
Exactly. And I'll tell you right now, it's much lower than 10% that actually know their numbers. Because if you need proof of that, look at how many businesses fail within their first year, 2 years. One of the main reasons that's the case is because they don't know their numbers. I'm just saying. So knowing that, when I look at that, I go, okay, most people aren't going to know their numbers. And it's not my job necessarily, but if I want to build that client relationship that I talk about all the time, which you'll find that later, but uh, the idea is this: start with some phone calls. Let me make you some money. Then you and I can sit down and have some of these once a week conversations that I talk to you about having with your clients, as you heard me say, and actually map out some growth together. And not only map out some growth, but hey, let's what are your other channels doing in terms of, and so now it's like, okay, they were running classified ads, but their return on investment on that's actually XYZ. It's 2 to 1, 2.1 to 1, whatever, and the money they're making from the phone calls from you is like 8 to 1. Well, I'm not saying, and you can tell them the same thing that I would tell them, which would be, I'm not saying classified ads are no good, but 2 to 1, 8 to 1. I know which one I would cancel first. You know what I'm saying? If times were hard, that kind of a thing, or if shit got crazy, I know which one I'd get rid of first. And you're not doing that to protect your own interests as much as you are to educate your own clients in an ongoing basis, uh, but also building a relationship because who does that? And the answer is really nobody, except for friends. Friends do that for friends. I help friends figure out their numbers in businesses all the time. I help you guys figure out your numbers in business all the time. So we have that relationship. You should have those kinds of relationships with your clients so that they start building and growing and expanding in a way that not only works well with your business, that's not your primary interest, it is in terms of the business that you do, but it helps them stay in business and they don't forget who their fucking friends were that helped them stay in business. That's the deal. Um, you're not going to be forgotten very quickly. However, oh, I got this company, don't even know that I got this guy. They usually don't even remember the name of the guy, and they say, yeah, he runs my ads, and I pay for the ad spend and a fee, and I make profit off of it. It's profitable. I don't know how profitable really. I just know it makes money, and and that's it. There's total disconnect. So when times are hard or shit hits the fan like COVID this year, if I haven't, as a client, if I haven't seriously valued, if I don't value that relationship at all, even if it's profitable, but I have to shut down, do I even care about like reaching out, working something out, reducing schedule, anything? No, not really. I don't have much incentive to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So there goes your business. So this business is very much client relationship built. There's no doubt about it. In terms of, yes, we deliver phone calls, but so we've got a great product, but we also have great service, or should have great customer service to go with it, because it's very lacking in this industry, and you'll find that as you go along. So anyway,
Thank you. I really appreciate the answer and you taking so much time with me. I'm going to have to jump off, but I will definitely
yep,
come back. I've got a call happening in about 5 minutes,
no
but I will
worries.
definitely follow your stuff and come back again. Thank you.
Yeah, hey, you're more than welcome. Happy to have you. And I've got Christina on too. So Christina, good to hear from you. How can I help?
I'm alive.
That's good.
um, I've been in a very bad um, mental state, and I'm not talking about oh, I don't know if this is gonna work kind of thing, because I know that it would. I trust you and all of that. Just
Okay.
anxiety and depression kind of thing. So I had to slow
Mm,
down. I was in a very dark place yesterday and
mm,
almost gave up. So I'm sort of like, like yesterday I was rewatching some of your videos kind of thing. I'm just having to like slow down a bit just to, because I know you said about progress, not perfection. Progress isn't perfection kind
there
of
you
thing.
go. There you go.
But sorry, yeah. But it's different when you've got, these things in your mind, and I've had to slow down a bit just to, otherwise it was just getting too much for me. So,
Listen,
but
sometimes you need to take breaks.
yeah,
Uh,
well,
I
the
mean,
other thing is, sorry, carry on.
well, I was just going to say, and I do want to hear what you have to say. But on that point, I feel like maybe you feel it's not okay to take breaks, and I want to clarify. It's okay if you need to take a step away or a step or two back. How many times have you heard me say that? I tend to do it as a mindset, um, a reset of the mind, if you will, to get the mindset in the right place. Uh, Take a step or two back right here, right now. But sometimes it requires more than that if you are constantly running up against that, right? So instead of just running into the wall over and over again, maybe stop running into the wall for a day or two, and do what I would say is progress is perfection in that area, or how you would do that is work on other things that you can get done, that I wouldn't call them mindless tasks, but we all have mindless tasks and things. And yeah, it's not going to make you any money long
Mm,
term, but it's still progress. And it's while you're at a point where it's better than beating your head against the wall doing absolutely nothing. I mean, I'm
yeah,
just saying. So there are ways you can pivot, right, and get done what you need to get done ultimately. And you were
yeah.
you were saying, you said you had some other things you wanted to.
Yeah, one of the things that I had, because of anxiety, sometimes I get to a point where I'm like, I can't carry on because I don't know what's coming next, kind of thing. I don't know if that makes sense. So
In
the other
life
day
or
I did
business?
um yeah, more like business stuff.
More business.
Yeah, so like the other day when I called a few more people for market research and all. But then I kind of like hit a block where I was like, oh, what's going to happen if this, and, I started thinking about future things, which I'm not going to get to yet until I finish certain stuff first. Um, and so to get out of that, what I had to do, which it's against what you say, is I started sending out some emails, although I wasn't 100% ready, for the sake of seeing what happens at that stage, kind of
Okay.
thing. yeah, I'm weird. But it was just like a comfort thing, just to see what's going to happen at that stage.
Okay,
And I ended up having a sales conversation with someone. Again, not because I was like, oh, I'm ready to sell,
I got you.
but because I wanted to see what it felt like.
Right. And
Um, and this guy was like, I don't know you. How do I know that if I give you money, you're gonna run to, abroad and have a nice holiday? And I'm like, that is one thing that scares me of like people thinking that I'm gonna steal their money and things like that. Then
well,
I don't know. And over the phone, I started feeling like a fraud. Although I know I'm not. I'm not the
well,
kind of person that would steal.
that's common though. Feeling fear of failure, feeling like a fraud. This is where that's where the old fake it till you make it thing came to be. Like that's how it came to be. It it comes from a place of everybody at least initially feeling like a fraud, or not just initially. Some people that are 10 years in, like there have been priests that have questioned their path 20 years in and gone, am I just a big fraud or what? Like, so there are always moments of doubt or of crisis. And while I don't, because I'm not a mindset guy in terms of personal things like that, the best I can give you is just from personal experience. I'm more of a mindset guy for the business model, right? So as long as it's about the business model, I'm 100% with you. Anything beyond that, you're probably going to need somebody else to help you with that. However, uh, the things that you're talking about uh, are much easier to address now that you've brought them up, because I can point you to how we deal with it, which is the I don't know you is no shit, they don't know you, right?
Mm.
It's a no shit, it's a no brainer. Um, what we say to that is that's why we start small. It's why I'm not asking you for tens of thousands of dollars. Now I'll tell you, Mr. Potential Client, when we do this and you get phone calls coming in, you're going to be begging me to take that kind of money, right? But I'm about trying to grow, show you what we can do, grow the business and grow the relationship from there, right? I have qualified calls coming in. They got to go somewhere. That's the bottom line. They're going to go to you. They're going to go to somebody down the street. As long as they get service, that's the main thing to me. So are you in or are you out? And I'm not quoting directly from the script, but that is the deal. The other thing is you have payment protections to point out, right? I mean, there's a reason why there's a dispute process with credit cards, and it may not work the same as it does in the United States as it does in the UK over there, but I'm telling you right now, you should look into it and get familiar with it, because up to 6 months I can do what's called a chargeback and get my money back. So if you are a fraud and I'm a client of yours, I'm still okay.
Okay,
Now, I'm not
that's
saying you tell
interesting.
them,
Okay.
yeah, it's not just interesting. It can make or break a deal, especially if you know that and say it with confidence and say, I'm not here to take your money. I'm here to make you money and make money with you, right?
So if someone is still not convinced, is it just a case of letting them go rather than trying to,
When you say someone's still not convinced after
uh,
that,
yeah, after saying, you know, you can, get a charge back and all of those things, and they're still like, oh, I'm not sure. Is it just a case of
I wouldn't say
just let
you
them
can get a
go?
charge back. First off, I'm telling you that they can
Well, yeah, yeah.
charge
What
back,
I'm, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay. Uh, payment protections. Get used to
yeah.
saying it that way. Don't say
Payment
charge back.
protection. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, very rarely have I ever had somebody not take the chance.
Mm.
I mean, you got to understand. You look at, okay, what's $300 worth to you? And I'm asking seriously, what's $300 worth to you right now?
It would be worth lots of confidence rather than making a difference in terms of it wouldn't be like a life-changing thing, but it would be a first step towards I'm doing things right.
I'm, yeah, and I'm not asking for that in that context. I'm asking how much is $300 worth to you?
I don't get what do you mean?
Okay. How much do you value a dollar?
I don't understand in what context you're
Okay.
asking it.
All right. Let me back up. When I ask how much you value a dollar, right? How much you value the money in your state right now, what does $300 mean to your way of life? What do you value a dollar at?
Okay, I see. I see what you mean. Yeah, $300 with how my life is right now, it's a lot of money. I guess for a business that earns loads, that's not okay.
And
So
loads,
someone who complains about $300 means it's not the right business for me.
most likely. And
Okay,
here's
gotcha.
what's crazy, Christina. I ask you one question. I ask you one question, and as soon as you give me the answer, by the way, I know you needed some context, but here's my point. As soon as you give me the answer, you were able to automatically work through on your own, because I didn't give you those answers, the exact answers I would have given you.
Okay.
which is which is very simply, man, I'm imposing my mindset onto how a business owner so what does that tell you about business owner mindset? Where are they at and where are you at in terms of mindset? Are you in the same place? Are you in the same place with
No,
those
I'm not.
business owners? You're not. Does that mean you're lesser than?
No.
Fuck no. Hell no. You put your pants on the same way we do, one leg at a time, right? The only difference is when their pants are on, they're running the business. Right now, you're learning to run the business with your pants on,
Yeah.
okay? But you're still a person, and not only a person, a good person, which those are rare. So, unicorn, my friend, like you're a unicorn, okay? I'm just gonna throw that out there. And I love the ring ads because it tends to be like a breeding ground and congregation of just unicorns. It's like a unicorn conference. I love it, but don't let that fool you. There's a lot of not so nice people and not
Mm.
unicorns out in the world, and you are a unicorn. So, I'm not saying you're special, right? Because I feel like that's giving you everybody a participation trophy. But I know what's in your heart. I know where you're at, and I also see your abilities. I mean, you were able to deduce on your own without me having to. You knew exactly where the problem was, and now that you've
Yeah.
kind of gotten right with that, now you see, okay, their thinking is not above mine or below mine, right? We're equals, right? But it's just over to the side. I gotta come over to where they're thinking. And that's all it is. And by the way, market research will help with a lot of that, right? Sales
That
calls.
changed my perspective.
Yeah,
The $300 thing, it really changed my
it's nothing.
perspective.
They pay
Mm.
that for a classified ad over here. You know what a classified
Mm.
is?
Is it the Google?
No.
What's
Classified as in
no.
like old school newspaper. We have
Oh,
ads and they're called
God.
classifieds. Yeah, no, it's okay. You guys probably have some crazy British name for them, right? I'm kidding. But whatever it is, right? We have ads in the newspaper, right? And they're called classified ads. And for example, Mark was in Houston, right? Houston's a big city. We've talked about Houston before, actually, Christina, which is funny.
Mhm.
Uh, in a city like that, I don't. The classified ad is going to be like what, like maybe an inch by inch or some shit, and it's going to be a few $100 for the weekend, at
God.
least.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
for a classified ad, are you guaranteed calls off of a classified ad in a newspaper?
Not in this day and age,
Not in this
especially
day and
no.
age. And how many eyeballs are actually going to see a little 1 inch by 1 inch on a
Mm.
bifold newspaper? You've seen U.S.
Yeah.
newspapers, right? Like they're ridiculous in terms of size. So, and just to prove that, hold on, Houston uh, newspaper classified ad cost. Now the media has slashed their costs. Single issue of the Chronicle, 75 cents. Advertising cost, practical business knowledge. Let's see if that'll tell us. This is the Houston Chronicle, and that is a big paper if I'm not mistaken. That's the cost of the paper. That's a horrible website. I'll never find it on that. Uh, They do have online on their newspapers as well. I didn't think about that. The point is though, you're not guaranteed calls, and once the ad has run its time, it's run its time. Whereas when I put $300 with Christina, right? That's I'm getting 10 calls, or at $30 a call, I'm getting $10. I'm getting 10 calls, right?
Yeah.
It's a all but a lock.
Mm.
Whereas, so it's a totally different model than buying media, right? That's why I was talking to Mark earlier about that whole, or David earlier about the whole uh, media buying, right? Yes, we're media buyers, but we don't sell media in the traditional agency sense, because I feel like that's a bunch of nonsense anyway. Even though it makes for great TV, it's not. It's not. Here we go. The green sheet. Is that it? Print and web ads, Houston. Thegreensheet.com. Mm, Green Sheet Media print and web advertising rates. I don't know what Green Sheet Media is. That's weird. It's like they're a media company. Okay, got it. Not what I'm looking for. I know this. It's going to be a few $100, if not more. Like usually the weekend edition or a Sunday classified, which a lot of people that look at classifieds pull the Sunday paper for. It's also a once a week hit. It's not something you're going to be able to effectively run necessarily for every vertical every day, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Whereas, and they'll spend money on that quickly. Why? Because it's old hat to them. They know about it. Their father did it, or you know, uh, their next door neighbor who had a business 20 years ago did it, and it worked for them, or they were able to. But again, keep in mind, 20 years ago, where were we? Year 2000, did we have smartphones?
No.
No, we did not. We were still 7 years away from the birth of the smartphone, right? Like, and I say the birth. Technically, a BlackBerry is a smartphone, but that's not really an argument that I'm going to get into with anybody. Blackberries are
Shitty
Blackberries.
phone.
Yeah, it was a very shitty smartphone. If that was a smartphone, I'll tell you right now, if that was a smartphone, that was the fucking Forrest Gump of phones in the smartphone world. I'm sorry. It was cool and it was smart enough to get shit done and do some amazing things, but at the end of the day, just not like the rest of us. Okay, so the smartphones, you know, definitely Blackberries were the Forrest Gump for sure, no doubt. And I say were, they still are, and still do exist. Um, but very much an old school thing now, and that's kind of my point, is that media has changed so drastically over the years that, and will continue to change. Anywhere there can be an advertisement via mobile device, the internet, actual still physical billboards, TV ads, all that kind of stuff. There's going to be media companies and then agencies that operate off of that whole percentage, or a fee, percentage or a fee, plus the ad costs at a markup usually on top of that. So yeah, uh, and sometimes the creative is free, right? If they pad the bill on the creative, but I don't know. It's just something about that that doesn't. It's never appealed to me ever, that model,
Mm.
and maybe it's because I'm in marketing. Maybe that's why, but and most business owners look at it as, oh, I'm not even trying to deal with that kind of shit. But for me, it's more of a, I'd rather just hire that all in house and hire the best and train the best over the years anyway, and then I don't have to worry about any markups, on media, and I also don't have to worry about adapting to the new media that comes out. But that's me.
True.
That's how I think. And I'll tell you right now, with what we sell, phone calls aren't going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. We talk about the vision for cell phones, right? Oh man, what happens when we don't have cell phones anymore and this and that, right? They already have technology out now and will continue to develop, that's based off of voice technologies for advertising. So call me, give me a list of, Alexa, give me a list of local plumbers. Here's three local plumbers in the area, right? As an example, call the second one, right? And it's going to read off the ad copy for you or something, right? Like that's or show it to you on screen. If you notice now, there's some Alexa devices that actually have for the home that have a bigger screen where you'll probably be able to display ads like that. And that's kind of my point, is that um, beyond that, we talk about what happens in the day when cell phones are implanted into our skin or into our, we tap the head for the mute button or some shit, or you know what I mean? Like change screens, right? Open this browser and then mute, just stupid stuff like that. We joke. There's been comedians to joke about that, how phones are trending that way, and that's a joke. But at the same time, really, I would think an eventuality. I'm not saying I'm okay with having a phone inside of me either, but at the same time, um, I've seen people also wear a band. Have you seen that? It's
Yeah.
not real yet, but there's a band that you can wear and you can shake it and the phone pops up on your forearm and
Yeah.
it's a screen. Have you seen that? It's pretty slick. I was like, man, I'd wear that. I'd wear that all day, you know? But then again, there's a display screen, there's ads. See what I'm getting at? So there's always, and by the way, at the end of the day, if my HVAC unit is broken down, what do I still have to do with that little nifty phone? Call.
Search for, yeah, cool. Yeah.
So a call's not going anywhere. That technology not going anywhere in terms of media that sells those calls. That will change over time, sure, and progress. Um, but the phone call's not going anywhere. And the idea behind the phone call and the money that a client or a business owner can make, that's not going anywhere. So our businesses will last far beyond our generation, no doubt, no doubt.
Mm. Couple of more things. But first of all, I just wanted to say I'm really impressed with how much I've spent for the ad, like 75 pence for a
Right.
click. I was like, incredible. And second, I guess the last thing I wanted to ask regarding that phone call that I had. Um,
The sales call.
again, yeah, the sales call.
Okay.
If someone asked me, how long have you been in business for? And, I've only started this a week ago. Again, because I don't like to lie and things like that. What would be a good things to say without feeling bad about it?
I'd come straight out and tell them I'm brand new in business, but I've got phone
Mm.
calls that are coming in every day. Here's a couple
Okay.
recordings. What's your email address? I would use it and embrace it. Remember I told you embrace who you are. Stop trying to
Yeah.
run from it. Stop stop stop
Okay.
trying to run from the awesome unicorn that you are, okay? And embrace it instead. That's my advice to you. And I mean that
Okay.
in every sense of the word and in all areas of your business and life really. Because you are a cool person and you're a good person and I know that about you. I do. Uh, that's not just something I'm saying. I believe that. What I need you to do is believe it.
Mm.
More than
I
more
know.
than listen, Christina, more than anything I'm ever going to teach you. Not that the other stuff isn't important. More than anything I'm ever going to teach you, this will be the most important.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
I'm not
Oh,
saying you're failing at it. I'm not saying you're failing at it. You're making progress to become self-aware of it. That's good, right? And I don't care if you have to do what you did, which is, you said, "Oh, I'm not doing what you teach," which is I started prospecting. Well, I teach you to prospect. You're not necessarily doing it if you needed to do it for peace of mind. Here's the pattern that's developing though. This is what I need you to be aware of, right? The pattern that's developing is you are not comfortable doing something as a business owner. You're not comfortable doing something without knowing at scale, without knowing what the outcome is going to be.
yeah.
And that's not always a bad thing, but business owners that think that way tend to go out of business. Tend to.
Mm.
Do you know why? It's a
Because they
word.
don't take risks.
So, well, there's risks. Yeah, you could call it risk. Risk. Yeah, sure. Um, I like to look at it. It's called an I. It's a word that starts with an I. What would a creative thinker like me call that? Not risk, but what?
Mm.
Innovation.
Mm. Okay.
Innovation. How do we innovate? Is it successful all the time?
No.
Is it
But
successful most of the time? No. I'll answer it
No,
for you.
it's
Is it successful half? Is it successful half the time? No.
I guess.
Is it successful? Here's the thing. When you look
You
at
don't know. Yeah, yeah.
right, when you look at innovation, failure versus success, what we classify as success, without really being aware of what it actually is. Let's say, let's say the innovations of the wheel, like the first version of the wheel was what? Made of what?
Was it stone?
It'd be stone, right? Most likely.
Yeah,
And then we innovated and made a new wheel out of what?
I think it was bronze. I'm not sure.
And then what?
Yeah.
That ended up being too heavy. That ended up being too heavy, and then what?
Okay, yeah. What, the next material you want to know?
Yeah, I'm just want
Oh
what comes to
gosh.
mind? What comes to mind? Think wheels and the evolution of the wheel, the innovation of the wheel, and think about what comes next. Wood. Well, I just gave you the answer. Fuck. Wood.
Yeah.
Right. I was gonna say stone and then to wood. So wood, right? Now, bronze back down to wood. I guess metal's no good, right? By that thinking. And then what did we innovate to? From wood to what?
Well, I'm guessing to what we have now, unless it was
A
something.
version of what we have now, right? Which is what?
Yeah. How do you call it? Not rubber. Um, I can't think of the name.
Well, steel with rubber, right? I mean, there's even innovation where we went from a wood wheel to a wood wheel with metal on it, right?
Mm,
And then we went to metal again, but not bronze, and it was wrapped in rubber,
mm.
right? So when you look at that, did metal because metal didn't work the first time, does that mean that metal wheels are no good?
I get you. Yeah, I got you. I see what you mean.
And the answer is absolutely not. We just weren't at that
Mm,
stage yet, innovation wise, for them
yeah.
to make sense yet, right? And then later in the innovation process. So when I look at business owners that are risk adverse, and I'm not saying, listen, I'm also not saying you need to just throw your cowboy hat off and try to stay on for 8 seconds and yell yeehaw either, right? I'm not saying none of that. What I'm saying is, uh, from time to time, you can do what I call, and this is a type A thing, I know, but I have, I really don't like things that are unpredictable either, at least in my personal life. I like structure. I like predictability. I don't know. That's just who I am. I don't fight it. I work with it. And so because I know that about myself, I also know that I tend to get myself into routines that don't allow me to explore cool new shit, fun new shit that other people get to experience that are not type A or as type A as I am, right? That kind of a thing. I'm not
Go to
like
the
counting,
same
right?
same
Exactly.
restaurant all the
Same.
time, same
Yeah.
pubs.
Now here's the thing. So how do I find so much cool shit? How do I learn so many cool things that are different or new? And it's like, oh man, you're so cavalier and you're risk taking, perspective in business. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. What I do, matter of fact, as a type A, this is so funny, and maybe you'll be able to latch onto this and have a good laugh at the same time. But it works. So laugh all you want, but this shit works for me. Um, I do have that structure, but inside of that structure, I have also built a do anything the fuck I want structure period of time and money and budget, right? And resources even and staff dedicated to that little piece is and so while I may not get the full scope of just everything that's out there, I get a lot more than I'm able to process and build into systems and processes for the rest of the structure that I have in place. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like more enough to satiate my you know cavalier risk taking uh, oh my God, is this going to fail or not? Who knows? And throw chance and throw of the dice, that kind of a thing. Kind of like, those people that say, I go to the casino and I go in with what I'm going to spend and no more. And they mean it. There are people that do that. I'm one of them. Like I go for fun. So when I go in with some money, I don't say I expect to lose it because I don't. But if I do, I also know that that's what at the end of the day I'm okay with as an expense, right? So very much I'm going to throw the dice. That's a risk. That's gambling, and it's gambling by God. But I'm doing it within a structure. I know that sounds so messed up, but it works. It works for me. I get to have the fun of throwing the dice at the craps table and having those experiences that other people get to have without all the fuss and muss of dealing with being a degenerate gambler, right? And selling everything to pay the pay the loan sharks or whatever. I don't have those experiences because, and I'm not saying again, no judgments against anybody that loves gambling or is a compulsive gambler. I'm just saying I have a structure that those experiences fit inside of very well, and I'm free to think of it as like a rage room. You know what a rage room is, or a padded room, right? Even better, a padded room. You can go nuts. You can go crazy. You can act like you're insane in a padded room, and you have that space and that structure to do that within. And then when you come out of the room, you've kind of left it all in the room. You know what I'm saying? You left it all out on the field. You left it all in the room, and now you're back to being who you are, just without
Right.
all the shit that you left behind, and you've had a new experience. I know that's kind of I know it's kind of odd to make those comparisons, but uh, it's the best I've got. So again, I do things in a very structured way, but I also allow for creativity to flow in that within that structure. Um, Now, sometimes my creativity will flow out of the structure, and in that case, I've got a system to govern that as well. What I do is I say, I'm not saying no to that. I'm saying not right now, and I'll put it to the side. And what'll happen is I will, if the budget needs to increase on time from me, staff, financial resources, whatever it is that I'm saying no to, uh, I will, unless the priority is there, or unless I really got something, then I might pursue it. I might take that chance. But notice how that's a very calculated, like I've already evaluated, is this going to be, am I very close to something, or am I just like, it's a good idea, it seems solid, maybe we're just not there yet, right? And you don't know how many times I've set something off to the side and said, not right now, because I've got the structure, and that's what keeps the money flowing, keeps things moving, right? Keeps me okay. And I still have my fun too, right? I still have my creative fun, is what I'm getting at in the business. Um, just on some things, not right now. And some people call that the back burner. Some people call that putting it off to the side, putting it on hold or on pause. I call it uh, proper budgeting, right? It's very much structured for me. And how can you properly budget something you have no idea where it's going to take you? It's like, well, you spend what you say you're going to spend based on the budget, and if you're going to go over, you don't. You set it off to the side and wait until next year's budget, or not next year's, but wait until the budget can allow for the continued research or continued innovation in this case, uh, for what you're after, unless you're so close and you know it. And there are times when you know you're that close, right? And there are other times where you're just completely still in the dark. And that's the time where, when you've run out of your budgeted funds or time or resources, uh, to set it to the side and focus on what's making you the money that got you to that place in the first place, right? That got you into that position in the first place, which is all the structure. So there's a time for a structure, and there's a time for um, taking chances, taking risks, right? Uh, I like the idea of calculated risks, right? In fact, that's probably why I like playing craps in the casino more than anything else that I play and have played. Not a big fan of blackjack, um, mainly because, well, a lot of reasons. Um, I don't like the idea of how casinos treat card counters. Um, that's a personal thing. I also don't like the idea of just sitting there. Blackjack tables are not that sociable. Um, craps tables are. Craps tables are fun. Even when they're cold, they're fun. Um, and it's also the one game in the house that gives you the most control. Like in blackjack, you don't touch the cards. You know what I'm saying? Any other card game, you don't touch the cards. Slots, you're pressing a button these days. They do still have the handle, but that's all you're doing. Just blah blah blah, mindless. If I'm sitting there waiting on somebody to get back from the bathroom or had to go up to their room for 20 minutes or whatever, and I'm hitting a button, right? Uh, I'll play slots for that. I'm not playing slots to win anything ever. Um, I'm always playing craps, and again, there's more control, there's more environment, there's more fun, there's more experience there, and you have the ability to, whether they say you do or not, I'm telling you right now, you have the ability to influence the game, and on several different levels actually, not just the dice, and that's to me that's fun. That's why I guess my my mind gravitates towards things like that as opposed to when I'm taking risks. It's a calculated risk. If you notice, it's like, yeah, there's a small house advantage on blackjack, but it's actually even smaller uh, on craps. I don't know if you know that or not, but the house edge is actually the lowest ever on craps. That's the lowest house edge in the. So in other words, out of the gate, you're already playing the game that gives you the most control. You get to handle the dice uh, and uh, and have the lowest house edge, which means you're already, by calculated risk standpoint, you're already to the good. You're already doing the best thing you could be doing, right? Um, and you don't have to worry about getting thrown out of the casino as long as you're not like shaving dice or some shit, right? If you're just throwing the dice and doing everything by the book, there's not much they can do except maybe offer you a room, ask you to please stop playing. That's it, right? They're not going to exit you out of the casino for proper craps play. They're just not, um, because they know what they know about craps, right? The point is, it's a very calculated risk that I take, even in just something that's a in my personal life that is a what do you call it? It's a personal choice, but uh, I walk into most people walk into a casino, they usually have their favorite game. For some reason, craps is my favorite game, and the best that I can figure, to my understanding, is because of how I operate. Period. Not just because of how I operate the business side of things, but because of how I operate, which is I'm going to have that fun, but I'm going to take risks, and I'm going to make sure that they're calculated, and maybe not out to its final point, but I will have done a lot of calculations as to what I like and why. Absolutely, and that's what I would say to you on the business side. Like, look at don't play craps. Look at your the risks that you're taking and evaluate them. Calculate out the risks that you're taking. So when you say things like, "Hey, I know you said you don't teach it, but I went ahead and made a sales call or had a sales conversation," to me, that's a calculated risk. It is. It is, and that's a good thing,
Okay.
right? It was worth the risk, is my point. And even if the call hadn't have gone as well, you still would have learned a lot from that because you haven't done prospecting yet. You haven't done the sales calls yet, so you're gonna learn no matter what, right? Um, it just happens to be that I know you're gonna learn a hell of a lot more from the market research first before you make those calls on a consistent basis, right? And it also points out the pattern very clearly to me that you need to know about the unknowns before you act on them. And what I'll tell you is, when it comes to that stuff, everything that everything that you're doing and will have done up to seven figures and pretty much beyond, because it's all wash, rinse, repeat at that point, um, has already been thought of and done, and not just in a been there, done that fashion, but also in a way of been there, done that, like taught people how to do this. This is different. It's totally different. Doing it and teaching are two different things. Doing all of it and then being able to say that, that's something else. So for all of your uncertainty that you're currently dealing with, what I would say to that is, and I know it's a bit of a leap of faith, I get that, but I haven't led you astray so far. What I would say to you is take a look at what you're doing and understand the risk that you think you're taking is actually not really something that hasn't already been factored in or calculated or worked with. It's been done many, many times, and I know the outcomes, right, of pretty much everything you could do and almost every deviation you could ever make. Not everyone, but almost everyone, because we've never seen it all till we've seen it all, right? And nobody's ever seen it all, but we can see most of it. Um, Again, that said, you're really at a point where I understand that the habit and there's a root cause that's driving that, and whatever that is, you're going to have to get solid on before you get on the phone to actually sell. Um, Most of that's probably coming from the lack of confidence in the offer still for some reason. Um, Not sure why that is. You might want to evaluate that. And again, I'm not trying to call you out. I want you to think on this
Oh.
on your own. Think on it and do some
I don't
reflection.
think during that sales call, I don't think during that sales calls I felt like, oh, this is not a good offer. I just felt like I was a fake fraud, and I started getting a bit anxious about that. So my voice started trembling, and and it wasn't even just the case of, oh, because I don't know the industry, because blah blah blah. It was literally the case of, I feel like I'm fake. They're gonna think I'm fraud and all of that, and that just got into my head, and I knew that if I were to do another 10 sales call, I would have carried on feeling like that.
And
But yeah, you gave me.
that's exactly what they'll point out and gravitate towards too, by the way, if that's what's on your mind.
mm, yeah, but already today, the point you made about the value of $300 just opened open
Good,
a new world. So
good.
yeah,
Well,
that
see,
was good.
that's the not the band-aid. I mean, that's like the ointment and the band-aid. So like that's the aftercare. I'm working on prevention with you right now. When it comes to specifically that mindset of the fear of being revealed as a fraud, can you drive phone calls for your vertical that are
Yeah,
qualified?
yeah,
There's no question in that. You can prove it to me, is what you're saying. Like you can show me. I can hear recordings. You're telling me that you have done it.
yeah,
Okay. So it's no longer a question then, is it?
yeah. It's just no confidence in myself, and as you said the other day, it shouldn't be about that.
And so
So
when you say things like I'm afraid to be revealed as a fraud, me, right? Not
I know I'm
what I'm
complicated.
selling. No, no, no. Listen. It's not about you though. This is what most
Mm,
business owners don't understand. As a business owner, your business will never be about you. Kind of like, do you have children?
no.
No. If you had children, and I don't have children either, but I can tell you right now, a company in a lot of ways is a much harsher experience in learning how to nurture and take care of something that's an entity, considered even a legal entity and breathing everything but actual breathing air. Um, Caring for a business is much like caring for a child in that when it starts, it doesn't know its ass from a hole in the ground. It shits all over itself. It's puking up stuff. And yeah, it laughs cute from time to time, but that ain't going to pay the bills, right? And
Mm,
I know I'm oversimplifying parenthood, and I'm not trying to, take away from the glamour of it or the awesome responsibilities and rewards that come with being a parent. I'm sure. I am also not over exaggerating the points that I just made about the effort it takes and energy it takes to, and financial resources it takes to care for a child from birth on into adulthood. And at every stage, including when the baby is grown into what we call an adult, shit can still happen, right? Random shit too, stuff beyond our control, stuff beyond the child or adults that you've grown from a child to an adult's control, right? Stuff that we just don't have any control over whatsoever. My point is this: businesses are very much the same way, at least starting out into the adulthood period. Adulthood, when you release the child into the wild at 18, as I joke, that is that's very much an exit strategy selling the business. So think of a child as or a business as a child in that it needs structure, it needs things, but it also needs to be able to do things on its own, take its own risks, learn its own lessons, right? The business needs to learn its own lessons. Sounds kind of weird, wow, when you think about it, but no, not really. I mean, when I look at the sales conversation you're having, it's not about you as a business owner and as a parent. A parent, one of the first things and you've probably heard a parent say this before, when you have a child, everything changes. And what they mean by that, and sometimes they even clarify, is that it ain't about you no more. It's about them, right?
Mm.
Have you heard that
Yeah.
before?
Yeah. Yeah.
You now have a business baby. That's what we're going to call it. You now have a
Yeah.
business baby. Like in the US, they make you take home a little baby that has sensors on it and shit, and you actually have to care for it for a week, or you fail the class. Um, Home ec, right? Anyway, it the thing is though, it teaches you, at least gives you some, at the very minimum, some perspective. Even if you failed taking care of the baby for a week, it really makes you think, man, this thing's a lot of fucking work. There better be some reward on this, and there is. Of course, I've pointed that out, but uh, my point is, on the business side, it's very much the same way, where you build, you get the baby to start growing, right? And then once you've got the baby to grow, and now the baby needs to learn things like walking, speaking, right? Uh, and where do the babies learn from?
Parents.
Yeah, almost always, right? Because that's who's with them the most. So yeah, parents. So if you want to know how your business is going to operate, what's the one thing you can do to see how your business is going to operate if you're the business owner?
Be a good parent.
No, the one thing you can do to know ahead of time how your business is going to operate is to look in the fucking mirror.
Mm.
Seriously. And if you don't like how something's going in your business, again, I refer you to the mirror. Okay?
Okay.
Because I'm telling you, your business is a direct, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Your business is a direct reflection of you as a person, who you are, your thoughts, how you operate, more importantly, which is why I'm not ashamed to tell you about how I operate within my structure, and then still have a huge, actually free creative zone but it is its own piece, right? And anytime I exceed those boundaries, or am going to exceed those boundaries, and I know it, and I know I'm not close to a resolution on that innovation, then I set it to the side, because not at the expense of my baby, my business baby. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna go out and have a good time because I'm an adult, but I'm also a parent, so I'm gonna come home by 9 p.m. Make sure my kids are in bed, right? That kind of thing. Um, and if I can't do that, then I'll hire a sitter. I'll do the responsible thing, is my point, right? A sitter would be the example, and the analogy would be an agency manager, right? Or a nanny might be better for that. Uh, so hopefully that, or an au pair. I don't know what you guys call them over there. Isn't it au pair?
Yeah.
Yeah, au pair. So you hopefully you're understanding my point about, it's not, you're in the phone conversation, and I understand you're the one having the conversation, but that's the extent of, you're there to represent the business. The business is the one that is going to grow from the nurturing that you provide, not as the parent, not as the it's not food for you. It's food for your business baby. Got to take care of the business baby. Now, at some point, the business baby is going to be like, move back, Ma. I got this, right? And that's when you have fully trained sales staff that are on the phone getting the clients for you. It's like, okay, son's got it. Business baby's got it. Business baby is the all grown up business baby now that maybe still needs some guidance in certain things like let me teach you how to cook, right? You're 13 years old, but you don't know everything in the world. Let me teach you how to cook. Now, as you're growing a baby, do babies have remarkable? Do they resemble us? Do they imitate us even? And not just babies, but all the way up through teenage years. Do they imitate us? Do they model after what they see? Absolutely, and not just from us though. Now there's outside influences. That could be your staff. That could be other businesses, clients that you work with. So there's things that you can put into place like home before the lights are on, home before it gets dark. That's a rule that I had, right, in my house growing up. And that's an old ass rule. Makes me sound like I'm, 50 years old, but that's because that's the rule that has been the rule back before there was smartphone technology and people could check in and do video calls and shit like that. Yeah, my ass had to be at least in the yard before the lights were on. And yeah, it was just one of those things. The when you look at is any of this jiving? Is any of this making sense?
It is, yeah, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I understand like I think differently than most, and it's a lot of times it's unconventional. And I don't do unconventional just to be unconventional. Like I don't fly in the face of stuff just to fly in the face of stuff. I'm not that militant. Okay. I'm not that anti everything. Uh, I'm really not. I do believe that there are better ways to do things in a lot of cases than what we're used to. And I also don't believe in setting limits on ourselves to what those things are. So when somebody says this is the best way to run an agency, my first thing that I do is I run it the way they say and try it. In other words, these are the best fitting shoes I've ever had. Okay. And the only shoe to wear. Okay. And I buy a pair of those shoes and I try them on. And I run them for a while, walk in them for a while. I wear them for a while. And I get used to the feeling of them. The whole time I'm doing that, though, I understand that at some point I'm going to try some other shoes because I want to know, are they the best or not? Maybe all that was missing was the right insert for the shoe, right? Maybe that person just didn't know about inserts and didn't have the right insert. My point is, never just take somebody's word for it. However, start with what's known to work. And in this case, I've shown you more than shown you that this is what works and works very well and simply for us. And then at that point, when you're well established, you've got that free creative zone that I talked about, but you create it in a structure. It works very well for type A's. You're going to do well with that. There's no doubt, because you're going to have the freedom to experiment and play around with what you want to play around with. But the fact of the matter is, fear of being revealed as a fraud is impossible if the call is not about you. It's impossible because your business baby, is already in a state where it's strong enough to start standing on its own legs. If you think about it, it's already driving phone calls, and it's a fact now. It's not a question mark. It's a fact, right? It's not an if. It's not a maybe. It's a done deal. You get a client, you'll be able to run calls. Kind of like you stand your kid up, your business baby up, and your business baby is going to be able to walk over to mommy or daddy or the other, whoever. You get what I'm saying? It's going to happen, right? They may need to be pulled up to get on their feet, but when they're on their feet, they're going to be able to walk that, 5 feet. And that's my point. It's not about you anymore. And it hasn't been since you started the business. That's what a lot of people don't understand about being a business owner. There's a certain detachment that comes with being a business owner, right? Certain detachment. There's also very much involved as being a parent of a business baby. You've got, I know it sounds so funny, business baby. It's true though. Parents, if you look at, and again, it's more difficult for people who aren't parents like myself, like Christina, but it's very easy to see other parents with their children. So it's not like we can't observe and learn from that way. And parents can speak for themselves on this, but I know this to be true. Um, Parents very much want the best for their children in most cases. Uh, in fact, very rare cases do parents not want that for their children. Uh, how they express that and show that depends on the parent and their experiences or how they were taught or what they feel is to be right in terms of raising their child. And that's where things get unfortunate for a lot of people. Without diving into that whole thing, um, what I will say is if parents inherently want the best for their children, then they also understand and recognize the fact that there's going to be times where the child is going to have to go to school one day and that they're not going to be in that child's life for so many hours a day from basically then till adulthood, right? Um, Same could be said about they're going to have to accept the fact that they're going to make friends and lose friends and date and not date, right? All those life experiences that we went through as children, and then some, right? Because we didn't have the technology that they have today. That makes me sound like I'm 80 years old. Uh, you get the point, though. There's a lot of new things that have developed and been innovated, that not just technology even, but just different types of clothes. You know, what we wore 20 years ago is not in fashion today, right? And 30 and 40, insert your decade here, right? That's that's just the way of things, right? But in terms of the fact that parents have to not let their children go, mind you, but let their children experience what they need to experience. And so as you raise your business baby is going to have some experiences that you as a person have been through, but you can't impose or uh, interfere with the business's learning experience. You can guide that growth in that business baby like you can in a human. You can guide that growth, but again, uh, in a lot of cases, not all, children don't far very fall from the tree. You know, and then in other cases, when it was bad from the start, children fall the furthest from the tree. You know why? The fruit looks at the tree and says, "I don't want to be that." That's why.
Mm.
Happened in my case. I can tell you that. Man, I'll tell you right now, not to go bashing the dead or anything like that, but if I was half the man uh, my father was, you would not want to know me. You would not want to know me. I would be an enigma on your life, um, in your life. It would be bad, it'd be very bad. Um,
Same
and
applies to my dad. So,
right,
so yeah,
so and the point is that you
mm,
couldn't be more further from that,
yeah,
and that's my case in point. So there are exceptions to the rule, but the rule is kids tend to end up like their parents or do the things parents do. And the thing is, here's the interesting thing. Maybe my personality is not the same as my father's. Actually, not even close. Um, it's complete opposite. Maybe that's why we butted heads a lot too in later years. As I was not later years, but as I was older, so 18, 19, I had already kind of made up my mind that I'm going to give people a chance to show me what they got as opposed to just making assumptions and totally crushing people for no reason whatsoever, jumping to conclusions. That was like his favorite thing to do, is just to assume and jump to conclusions. And I was always like, well, let's hear somebody out first, you know, because you never know. You just don't know till you know, and that's how I operated. And it gives you a different perspective on where somebody else is coming from. Keeps you more open minded. Keeps you more cool, calm, and collected. On top of that, and you look at You look at businesses as an entity because legally they are. Again, they don't breathe like we do, uh, but they can die. They can grow. They can grow into an evil child very easily if left untended, and grow into an evil adult if left unattended, right? Or the parents were negligent with their business baby. And not to scare you, but the same could be said about growing decent human beings as about growing decent business babies. Businesses that do good business with integrity, that are honest with their friends, in other words, their clients, um, that are smart, that learn how to adapt and overcome. Uh, there's a lot that can be said about that analogy, but it's at the end of the day, what I'm trying to get at more than anything for you specifically, Christina, is um, the business. It's about the business, and it's no longer about you because you're the parent, which is a good thing in a lot of ways. And in a lot of ways, there's going to be things that you need to be more mindful of going forward. Now that you know that, or have an understanding of that. Um, but yeah, it's when you're on the phone. When you're on the phone, it ain't about you. It's about that business baby. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I know.
You're gonna yeah. You're
It
gonna
makes
have to.
sense,
You're gonna have
but
exactly.
sometimes,
It makes sense. See, that's the thing. You're gonna have to kick that around. By kick that
yeah.
around, I mean you're gonna have to really. You're gonna have to sleep on that, mull that over, process that, put it into practice. Because thinking about it ain't gonna get you there, right? And I'll tell you something. That's one of the reasons why parents always end up at the very beginning terrified uh, that they don't know what they're doing. And that's that fear of being revealed as a fraud. Like somebody's going to just wheel them away to the nut house because they don't know what the fuck they're doing with the kid, right? Um, but they find a way. They find a way. And if you notice, the kid takes on the habits of the parent. So yeah, very much so. In that case, your business is a direct reflection of you, right? Your business baby picks up everything it learns from you to start with. So if you have habits of not taking smart, calculated risks even within a window, guess what your business is not going to do, right?
Mm,
I'm just
of
saying.
course.
Exactly. I'm just saying. So that's almost like putting your business baby in a bubble and never and by bubble I mean like a hermetically sealed, you know, bubble where nothing can get to it. And so because nothing can get to the baby, the business baby, it as soon as it hits our actual atmosphere, it gets sick right away because it hasn't built up any antibodies or anything like that, right? It hasn't gotten tougher. And by tougher, I don't mean tougher like we talked about personally. The business baby, right? Business baby's the one that needs to learn to be able to build up immunity to things as it grows. You can't protect it forever from things like that. And if you try to, uh, not only will you fail, the business baby will die from that same thing, the very thing that you tried to keep it protected from, right?
Mm.
So there's a lot to that, I know, but I really need you to kick that around. It's not an easy concept to. It's easy to understand, sure. It's not easy to implement. It's not easy to implement that.
Yeah, I'll definitely try my best. Sometimes it's easy to just get the evil part of your brain. When I say evil, I don't mean like I'm a bad person kind of thing, but the one that says, "Oh, you're never gonna
The
blah,"
devil, yeah,
yeah,
the devil
take
on your
over.
shoulder, yeah.
Especially when you've always operated like that. So I'll try
Well,
my best.
when you
Thank
when you listen, when you have a child, this could be terrifying. Think about this for a second. If you ever had a child, um, is that devil going away anytime soon? The
you.
devil on your shoulder?
No.
No. So, child or not, actual physical child or not, will the devil still be there on your shoulder?
Yeah, you just have to fight it off.
Right. And here's the direct correlation. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at your business as if it were a baby, an actual baby. What would you choose to subject it to, and what would you not, based on the devil on your shoulder?
Well, I can't abandon the baby.
Exactly.
I have to take responsibility.
More than that, even, right? That's a bare minimum. That sounds like a parent who's
Yeah.
there, but maybe not, maybe not there. You know, I got to claim this baby at the hospital. Yeah, that's mine. That one right there. That's me. Yep. Same eyes. You know what I'm saying? Same nose.
I have to admit, I will have to replace the baby with a dog.
That's
I can't
fine.
really imagine.
That's fine. If your visual is a dog, and let me tell you something. To me, I love my dog. Jessie is an absolute sweetheart. She's got her own personality. She's got an attitude. It's so funny. Uh, but I'll tell you right now, she is a perpetual 2-year old. She will never grow up. It's almost like, I know this sounds crazy, but having a dog, and I've had many dogs over the years. She's not my only dog, but having a dog is a lot like having a child with special needs. And I would know that because my mother has special needs. She's not special needs in the way of the mental capacity. Special needs as in disabled. So there's nothing but handicap challenges running through my entire family tree. So I don't know how I ended up halfway okay, but I did. And so for me to say that should really tell people something like, man, dogs never grow up. Do dogs always get into trouble? Yes, right? That's like a 2-year old that's constantly never getting out of the 2-year old stage, the terrible twos, always running in, getting in, nosing into shit they shouldn't be in, eating stuff they shouldn't be eating. Don't eat that. How many times have you seen a parent do that to a child? You know what I mean? My dog does that every fucking day, and she's 6. You know what I mean? Like, she's never gonna, not be 2 in terms of human years. And it's okay because I love her, right? And I accept that about her. However, a business baby can grow beyond the terrible twos, if you will. All right, it very much can and will, uh,
Mm.
with the right guidance and all that. Um, so take that for what it's worth. If you need to envision a dog, that's fine. Just be aware there are slight differences to a human baby and business baby analogy versus a dog
Yeah.
baby and a business baby. So yeah, uh, initial stages are pretty much the same, but the dog actually never grows up.
Okay.
It's okay,
Thank you.
but take that for what it's worth. Mull it around. Like I said, it's going to take some time to implement. The biggest thing is to start with the self awareness of that. Like, oh, it's not a me thing. I'm the parent here, right? Yeah, I'm the one that's on the phone right now, but that's because business baby can't do that for itself. Yeah, I'm changing the diapers right now. In other words, but that's because homeboy here, little homeboy here hasn't learned how to not shit on himself yet, right? He will learn how to not do that, or she will learn how to not do that, um, through my guidance as the parent. Same goes with making those phone calls, right? You're making the phone calls for the business baby, not for you.
Mm.
And the
Yeah.
business, I'll tell you something to further on that point. The reason why you shouldn't care about, and by I say you shouldn't care about, why it shouldn't even cross your mind as being a potential obstacle of whether you're the fraud or not, because it's not about you, number one, but number two, you're not the one driving the phone calls. The business does. Just because the business ain't built out yet, right, doesn't mean that the business isn't the one that's driving the phone calls. You follow?
Mm. Yeah.
Think about that for a minute. More than a minute. Think about it for a
Mm.
while. Kick it around. And anyway, let me. I've got some other questions here. Was that everything you needed, or was there
Yep.
something else?
That's
Or
all. That's
okay,
all for now.
all right, cool.
That's
I'm
all,
gonna.
folks.
All right, let me take a look at the FAQs here and let's wrap up because we've been going a couple hours. I was trying to keep it to an hour, but you know how things go. It's a Friday. I want everybody kind of prepped for the weekend and doing their thing. So let me do the Q&A here. Saw a bunch of stuff come in. Let me see. Uh, Let's see. Wow, we got a lot of comments. Hold on. If we get a client, is it 100% guaranteed calls for any business with the buffer of a? If we get a client, is it 100% guaranteed calls for any business with the buffer available? I'm not understanding what you mean with the buffer available. Um, I mean, yeah, you're going to have to clarify on that question for me. Whoever wrote that, I can't even see who wrote that. So please clarify that if that was you. Is RingEdge just a tracking platform, or do you provide generate calls too? It's a tracking and agency management platform. It's up to you to drive the phone calls. We do teach you how to do those things, yes, um, but more of as a support to using the platform, right? Uh, we have clients available looking for plumbing calls. That's great. You're in the wrong group, buddy. You're in the wrong group. We don't do advertising like that. Appreciate you though. Pay per call affiliates, go somewhere else. Have fun with that. Not that affiliate business is bad. We just people that are looking to buy calls, you're specifically prohibited from advertising in the group. So I'll take care of that when the call's over. Um, talk about stuff that's important instead of BSing. Okay. Um, talk about work instead of yourself. Okay. Apparently, I have some issues here with some people that talk about drugs now. That's a mental risk. People have slept and left. Wow. We've got somebody that's having some challenges with me. Hey, listen, whoever that is, and I can't see who that is based on the name from the Restream chat, but I'll tell you straight out. This is probably the point where most people would take offense or get defensive and get pissed off. Uh, I'll just handle it right here, right now. This probably isn't the place for you, and I'm okay with that. I need you to be okay with that. Um, if you're not even open to the understanding of, or the idea of what it is that we're even doing here, or learning about it before popping off, gosh, so many times it looks like, uh, probably not the best place for you, not the best environment for you. And we have a zero tolerance policy for negative shit. I will say that. And I think it would be best if you found somewhere else to be, straight up. Not saying that to be mean. I'm just, again, coming from a place of really just as much as I can. Uh, you be you. Just understand that we don't allow that kind of stuff here in the group. So you're going to have to be you somewhere else, right? Straight up. Um, hate saying that, but at the same time, I've got people to think about, people to protect, their businesses, their mindsets. They depend on me every day, and we can't allow shit like that in the group. Sorry, sorry, not sorry. Someone's saying that guy is a complete troll, and there's a name. Okay, cool. I'll look it up later. Disrespectful in the chat, firing off insults, and his profile is even locked, so we cannot even know who this person is. I'm gonna ignore your comments. Sorry, mate. Time to go. Nothing worth here. Okay. Looks like we already lost him anyway. That's helpful. Christina, try running a quick affiliate or client campaign. I did and got a qualified paid affiliate call within a few hours. You won't feel like a fraud after that. Yeah, that's what I was telling Christina. She's already run phone calls, folks. She's not a fraud. That's the last thing that should be on her mind. But it's her being able to deal with it. We all have our own challenges, right, and things that we deal with. Um, and even though she's you know run those calls, she's still having those feelings. So that's why I was coaching her on that. Uh, careful, and Kit, you are in danger of getting RSI. We're dealing with hundreds of affiliates and running over 40 campaigns as of today. Talk what you are offering instead of wasting time. If it's just a tracking software, let me know, or else if you can generate calls for various projects, it's a different ball game. If that's the same person that was extremely rude earlier, and not understanding what we're doing, and very quick to, let's say, impatient and quick to call things maybe incorrectly, Uh, I don't think there'd be anybody here that would, after what they've seen today, want to run calls for you. You're probably, again, still in the wrong place. And we also don't take open promotions for affiliate programs. Sorry, this is not the place for you. And yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of people in here that could generate phone calls for you, but I really don't think anybody would want to do that. Again, their choice, but good luck on that. Wasn't just trying to disrespect, was just stating the facts. I don't think it's more about the disrespect, because again, if I felt disrespected, I would definitely be upset. Um, there are things that I don't appreciate, like name calling, um, judgmental statements, things like that. Um, in your case, I mean, it's very clear you just from the get go on your comments earlier that you weren't really you're not really in alignment with what we're doing, and that's why I suggest and still suggest suggested and still suggest that you find somewhere else to be. And I don't say that often, uh, but I say it when it needs to be said, 100%. And I think it's going to do you a solid and do us a solid. Everybody wins on that one, for sure. Let's see. It's almost midnight in Saudi Arabia. Nope, no worries. I will mark you present. I'm going to give that to everybody since we went long on the call. On my inbound Dollar Central prospecting, I keep getting the question, who all are you working with here locally? How do you handle those objections if we don't have someone we've worked with in their market? You say you're expanding into the market. That's why they're even getting a call, right? You've got calls coming in every day. They got to go somewhere. If they're asking you who you're working with right now, no one. That's why I'm calling you. I've got the calls. They've got to go somewhere. Do you need more business right now? Back to the question that you originally asked in the sales script. Okay. Um, cool. Looks like we're good to go. All right. I'm going to mark everybody that's currently on the list from yesterday the same way I did yesterday, and I'm going to mark you present for the Show Up Grow Up Award. I'm doing that right now, December 4th, making sure everybody's got their mark. And again, those people are Scott Moody, Jeff Brewer, Bob Lee, Steve Taylor, Tim Blank, Christina Pucci, John Hackwood, Ken Wilson, Julian Alexander, John Smith, Muhammad Zakir Hussein, who had to go to bed, Art Tapman, Adrian Bryan, Jerry Clark, Garrett Amon, Robert Kornick. Okay. So there's that. Looks like we're good to go. And I don't see anything else in the questions. I could be wrong, but I don't see anything else. So I think we should call it. This is only supposed to be an hour session anyway. I don't mind going over, as you know, but I'd like to try to keep these to an hour throughout the month because we're doing them every day. So it's not like I'm not going to be here. I get that question too, Art, saying, as the voicemail script mentions, your local partner can't handle the volume, so who's the local partner? Oh, if someone says local, yeah, your script says your local partner can't handle the volume, so who is the local partner? If they ask that, again, you're expanding. You can clarify by expanding. Most people don't point that out. Most people don't point that out. And if it gets pointed out, you're expanding, right? And they're going to understand that that was a blanket message. They're going to understand that without you having to say that. So hopefully that makes sense in terms of the client acquisition. It's very much you're looking for somebody to take the phone calls in that area. Are they going to be the person or not, right? And that's not how you say it, but that's the urgency that's driving the whole matter. The calls are coming in. They got to go somewhere in order to make sure that they get serviced, right? That's the urgency. So thanks for clarifying that and confirming that happens. In my case, you say, I've explained I work with a national brand looking for a local client. That's not a bad idea if that's the truth. Stay within the truth, right? Use integrity. I'm not saying you're not telling the truth, Art. I'm just saying for everybody else, maybe they can't say that because that wouldn't be true. So definitely tell the truth on that. All right, looks like I got to go deal with a member that shouldn't be a member, and we'll take care of that. Again, all are welcome here. I ask that you keep an open mind, as open as possible, because there's a lot of stuff, like I said, that's unconventional, that's not, excuse me, normally taught when building your own pay-per-call agency, going direct to local clients. And now that the affiliate topic has been brought up again, there will be affiliate offers. Right now, our focus is local client, 100%. And I want you to focus on that for now, okay? All right, so let's bounce out of here. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we'll take it from there. All right, bye for now, guys.
Cool. Cool. UFO. Back on my shit with a new advantage. I leave it up to you to settle the damage. Diamond, yeah, I know it's foreign to him. I came from the guts of rural Alabama. Steph Curry wrist, watch with the handle. Simple motors, gotta lead by example. Not too many make it out when they doubt. Never been about bailing off of my route. Rain gang, got the city HD. Hate to see my brother die every week. Numb to your vision. My life got me too fucked up. Disrespect to make a nigga go dumb. Pillow talking while you nursing that bitch and turn you to a scrub. I let prices from the plug. Bay Shore, Ocean View, I win Adidas with the boots. Niggas out here slinging arbitrage, so the money really no excuse. Welcome to the realm.